I was actually about 5 or 6 years old when I was still in primary school, or pre-primary school actually. And then we had this concert that we needed to go to. And then like the teacher, it was a white teacher, she would comb all our hair. So she would comb all our hair. So then she would comb the black girl's hair, the colored girl's hair, my hair, the white girl's hair. And then she would always comb the white girl's hair thoroughly. But with us, because we already had plaits, our mom made our plaits or whatever, she would just brush so briefly. And then I realized, listen, yes, something is up. So I think that's when I realized, listen, we definitely have different hair. I think during high school, when you start becoming more aware of yourself, that's when you start thinking, you realize, and also being a colored woman, there's different types of hair. And because I had a much more a curlier bunch, then you start realizing, especially when you dry your hair and you realize listen, especially when it's a little bit misty or whatever, then your hair minces, like they say, get a little bit frizzy. And then your hair just goes into a zone, then it gets all puffy and then it doesn't look as sleek and as nice. So yeah. I think during high school, when you start becoming more aware of yourself, that's when you start thinking, you realize, and also being a colored woman, there's different types of hair. And because I had a much more a curlier bunch, then you start realizing, especially when you dry your hair and you realize listen, especially when it's a little bit misty or whatever, then your hair minces, like they say, get a little bit frizzy. And then your hair just goes into a zone, then it gets all puffy and then it doesn't look as sleek and as nice. So yeah. We came from Joburg, so I've always lived in Joburg. So we moved to Sarun, a small little town. So what happened was, I came to Cape Town to stay with other people, and because I lived with another auntie, I also had natural hair. So this auntie, when I was grade 3, she decided to relax my hair, use kiddie relaxer. And then she's like, now it's just gonna burn a little. I was like, oh my goodness. Then my hair was not nice. It was it was manageable. But the thing is, what happens when it grew out, that's when you actually started realizing, listen, it's actually breaking off or that kind of thing. Because my hair was it struggled to detangle, and that's why they relaxed it. So from then on, I've always just, relaxed. And then later on, I realized okay, relaxer started breaking off my hair. And then I started using sheen straightener. And then recently, so I just realized it's not really worth it, because it's quite damaging. It was always frowned upon if your hair wasn't blowed out and made properly. There was a certain way of coming across. So, and also that would also represent, being decent and being proper. So yeah.
Interesting.
It's always like that. I think especially in colored families, it's always like that. You can't go to a wedding or to any event without blow drying your hair. It's if you don't blow dry your hair, you don't look proper. If you wear even if you wear your hair frizzy, you were lazy. They tell you were lazy for your hair. Why didn't you do your hair? And you don't look right in pictures. People are just they just distance you, or they actually compliment you when your hair's blow dried. So you kind of get the thing. So when your hair's frizzy, nah, they don't compliment you. But when it's blow dried, when it's taken care of, no, you look nice. So I think indirectly, that's some sort of shaming. I love my curls. I won't lie. I really love my curls. But you see, because the chemicals are still growing out, I started now in June with this process. So it's still busy growing out. I'm a little bit, I don't really have that nerve to have the big chop. So I'll just rather cut my ends and then see it actually gradually do it. So, but I am actually really loving the curl, although I have to totally change my way of doing things. But yeah. I actually went for a job interview. And then my hair was nice and it was sorted. And then my sister was so I thought, because I am going to go to work every day, I need to find a way to make my hair more manageable. And then my sister-in-law was why don't you just, try cold chemistry and maybe, just embrace that, because a lot of people that tried Brazilian treatments, actually it messed them up. So just try, going natural and stuff. I said, okay, I'll just try it for 1 month. And then, the way when I started seeing my curls, taking it's coarse and it started forming so nicely. I thought, you know what, okay, let me just give it another try. And I mean, it's now November, and yeah, and I'm loving it. Now listen, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. If you want to touch me, touch me. Like it's hair. Like I mean, I don't really have like, you know, some sentiment.
Do you think that the natural hair movement is important? If so, why?
It definitely is. I actually got myself this T-shirt called Curl Queen. This other girl in PE, she started this whole movement, and I told her, like, you know what, I really, really appreciate it. And on this note, there was written, you know, enjoy your natural journey. You are beautiful. And I was like, you know, I think this is just like the beginning of us as women of color, you know, embracing who we are in all facets. So, and I think it's also about, you know, this whole decolonizing us to a certain extent of notions of beauty. And so I think, yeah, I think this is definitely a movement that I am supporting. And although it's like a little struggle because your hair is different and trying to make it soft and all the nourishment that it needs, it's work. Natural hair is work. But yeah, so I'm really like, you know, embracing this journey and this movement really. I think natural hair, like the whole, you know, embracing natural hair has a lot to do with loving yourself. So it's just about being a self-love soldier, really. So, and I think it's a good thing. If you're not ready, then, you know, just, you know, refrain from doing it. But I think if you can pull this off, it just shows so much strength in so many different areas of your life. So, in terms of encouraging, I just, you know, just be you. Just, you know, grab hold of who you are and just embrace the curl. Yeah, I think because it is like, whether it's a big curl, a small curl, a short curl, long, just embrace it.